Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Let us pray. Gracious and Father, for the gift of this morning and for gathering us here today. We thank you for the journey mercies, and as we convene for this meeting, we ask you to send forth your Holy Spirit to enlighten our minds, our hearts, that what we share may help us to appreciate the gift of money, and in your wisdom to use it wisely to help us to develop each other and the world. And we'll make this our prayer through Christ our Lord.
Good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen. My task this afternoon will be to moderate this engagement. And I would like to, in a special way, thank you all for responding to our invitation. Let me take this moment again, Director Roy, to now offer the floor to you.
I stand here in representative capacity of the board chairman, Mr. Patrick Kagoro. This is a board town hall, like Patrick mentioned. We do these town halls around the country. And as I delve into the roles and functions of DPF, so a little bit about how the fund is governed. So the fund is governed by a 7-member board, and the representation on the board is that there are 2 members who are appointed from the public. The appointing authority is the Minister of Finance. There is 1 member who represents the Minister of Finance. 1 member who represents the Governor, Bank of Uganda. The Uganda Bankers Association, which is an association that manages all the financial institutions which are regulated by Bank of Uganda, has representation on the board. And I think contributing institutions, now those are the banks. They also have 2 members who represent them. We have corporate governance principles that we follow, and all those are enshrined in a board charter and code of conduct. So our chief executive leads a team of 7 executive members who manage the daily operations of the fund. So that there is the board chairman, Mr. Patrick Kagoro, and the rest of the board members. Today, we are only 3 who are here. So we have Dr. Andrew Obara on my, where is the pointer? This thing. Okay, that's Dr. Andrew Obara. He represents the micro deposit taking institutions. I don't know if we have Pride here. Pride, the MDIs which are Pride, Yuga Ford. Yeah, Dr. Andrew Obara represents. Mr. Kalema is here. We have Mr. John Biarhanga. He represents the minister on the board. And we have Director Wilbrod Owor. He is the current Chief Executive Officer of Uganda Bankers Association, and he also represents Uganda Bankers Association on the board. So that is myself, and that is the daughter of the soil. The senior management team is led by Dr. Julia Oyet, Dr. Michael Ugemwa heads the finance and operations of the fund. We have Alan. This current thing disappears. I don't know why. Okay. So Mr. Alan Retabe heads the investments. I'll speak to that in the next slide. Our own Patrick needs no introduction. The IT infrastructure in the fund is led by Mr. Balam Sempala. The human capital director is Mr. Moses Adong. Audit, very important function to see that you're complying with the law and the internal policies is Mr. Samuel Mankati, and the head of legal and board secretary is Mrs. Angela Kiriabwire Kanyima. She's in this room. I think the CEO will introduce. So that is the technical team that runs the fund on a day-to-day basis. Overall, I think the entire staff establishment of DPF is around 53, who are all mostly permanent, temporary, and contract employees. So, about the membership and general coverage of DPF. The moment a bank is licensed by the central bank, membership becomes compulsory. So all institutions which are supervised by Bank of Uganda, they all have to become automatic members of the Deposit Protection Fund. Currently, there are 31 members, out of which 21 are commercial banks and 8 are credit institutions, 2 are micro-deposit taking institutions. The protected limit currently is 10 million shillings. This is a move from 3 million shillings that we had before the fund was fully operationalized. So deposits are currently protected up to a limit of 10 million per depositor per supervised contributing institutions. I know when we go for the town halls, so many questions emanate around here. Why 10? Why not 1 million? No? But currently the limit is 10. This limit was revised in 2019. It used to be 3 million, like you can see, to 10 million. And at the current rate of 10 million, 98% of the accounts are fully covered. They are fully protected. So how do we fund the activities of deposit insurance or of the Deposit Protection Fund? So what happens, all those 31 institutions make a contribution of 0.2% of their average deposit liabilities from the previous year. So that money has to be forwarded to the Deposit Protection Fund, and we call it a premium. So that money doesn't just sit in our accounts. What happens is that among the technical directors that I introduced was investments, and their role is to see that they use this money as it is collected once, because we collect it once every year, and they invest it. Currently the law only allows the fund to have to invest in only government securities. But with the evolution of the fund now, there are plans to see that we expand the investment spectrum. So, as I conclude, I want to take you through the key aspects that, at least that you should not forget about deposit insurance. Number one, and of course what I have alluded to, we may have missed it in the presentation, is hold an account in a bank. Don't keep money under mattresses or under boxes somewhere. Don't trust a human being. I know one of the most difficult things is to sell this message of deposit insurance, because it is like telling a person that you know you'll die, but when you die, okay, death is a given, you know. But what we are saying is that deposit insurance is there to see that even when a bank is closed, we will pick up the tab. We will pick up the tab very fast to see that the depositor does not suffer the brutality of closing a bank, or of the bank which has been closed because their money is completely gone. So our job is to see that we mitigate, we make that pain less, yeah, by putting in place so many systems to see that the depositor is not affected. So the first thing is have a bank account. And the reason why we do these town halls is because it is difficult to deliver this message, because public awareness, one would wonder, why aren't we in a certain field somewhere doing a drive around town, kind of like a political rally? But the idea is to select representatives from various sectors in the community, and we sensitize you in hope that you will go back and cascade this information. So if we have security, we have the religious leaders, we have the political leaders at the various stratas of government, local government, we have the women groups, we have the key stakeholders who are the financial institutions. So we hope that you can go back and relay the information to the most important people who are not here in this room. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to relay the message, as you will see from the feedback that we shall be getting from you. So, once you have an account, you need to know your bank, and you ensure that your personal information is up to date. The reason why we are saying this is that personal information is now becoming very critical. Excuse me. It's becoming very critical because government is putting in place so many things to see that they can be able to identify each and every individual in the country. Yeah. So you're supposed to have an ID, and ID should be valid, and your bank should know about it. If your personal information changes at any stage, you need to notify your bank that I have either gotten married, now this is my marital status, or I have gotten divorced. So that person, everything that happens in your life, that is relevant to your bank account. You know, we don't want to know a lot, I think, but the aspect of know your bank, know your customer is very important, because the bank must know you, but you must also know the bank. You will recall that when I was starting, I said that deposit insurance was put in place for the unsophisticated, the vulnerable depositors. Yeah? So you realize that at a certain point, usually in the first quarter after the end of the financial year, I think, banks publish their financial statements. It's a statutory requirement. And the reason why banks are required to publish is that a person can be able to look at that financial statement and they know the bank where I have an account, how is it performing? How are its assets? What liabilities does it have? Is it still safe for me to continue banking with this account, with this bank? So that is the reason why banks are required to publish. But we all know, as we sit in this room, even me who is standing there, those statements are very technical. You know, when you talk of things like assets, liabilities, you know, it would be the chief executive here who can dissect such information. But one of the reasons why we do these town halls is to at least inform, at the very least, inform the public that you need to know your bank. Make an effort to get to know your bank. Even if just walk into the bank, any service that the bank is attempting to provide to you, inquire. I know most of us here, including myself, we look at a bank as a place where you go, if you've deposited some money, and then the next thing is, I want to get. And the rest of the things you don't want to know very much. So the bank rushes to give you a loan, you also rush to sign documents, but you don't know the status of the bank. So once you take time to know your bank and you're sure that you're keeping your information up to date, that's one of the messages that we want to tell you during these public awareness campaigns. Number 2, that all contributing institutions regulated by Bank of Uganda have their deposits under the umbrella of DPF protected. So if there is a financial institution that Bank of Uganda does not know about, and God forbid you have an account or you have a relationship, a professional relationship with that institution, but it is not regulated, then you will not be supported. So you need to tell our people that it is only contributing institutions which are licensed by Bank of Uganda which will have their deposits protected. 3 is, it's not the depositors who pay the premium, but the financial institutions, they look at every year, they look at the average deposits in the year, and 0.2% of that is remitted to DPF. So there is no depositor who is going to be told to, or is going to be required to pay the 0.2%. So number 4 is, I think that we put there avoid rumors. But what we are saying is, in order to avoid the other pictorial that I showed you, we are saying that verify information. Because in most cases when the Bank of Uganda closes a bank, they've gone through a thorough process. They've gone through a thorough process and they have determined that now the time has come to put on a padlock on these regulated financial institutions. They don't publish. You'll never see that they've published in the papers that on date X, in the next 2 weeks, we are going to close. They just do their thing, and all the stakeholders are informed internally, and by the time it comes out, you're seeing a united front usually of the Bank of Uganda, of Deposit Protection Fund, and usually Ministry of Finance. And all that is building into the aspect of public confidence that I talked about. So, much as we are indicating there, avoid rumors, we are saying that verify information. And where do you verify information from? Where I say that know your bank, you know, because when you know your bank, you'll know in case of information, who do we contact, you know. So avoiding rumors, verify information, don't take information that has been given to you on the surface through whatever means. The limit is 5 million per depositor, and any amount that is above the 10 million is payable after the liquidation process has been concluded. There are people who have foreign currency accounts, money held in any currency other than the Uganda shillings. Those ones are also protected, but when they are going to pay that protected deposit, it is first converted to Uganda shillings. And this is done in order to hedge and protect the shilling value. Number 7, DPF does not handle depositor complaints. That is mainly handled by Bank of Uganda. So in the event that you have a complaint with the way your bank is serving you, we urge you to go to Bank of Uganda or file your complaint. Of course, first through the channels that have been provided by your bank, but if you feel that the bank is not helping you, then you can go to Bank of Uganda. Don't come to Deposit Protection Fund, because like I said, for us, our mandate starts rolling when Bank of Uganda says that they've closed a bank. Number 8 is, like I said, we've so far carried out 2 payouts. When Bank of Uganda closed EFC and Mercantile Bank in 2024, we executed we executed a payout, but there are still some depositors who have not been paid for various reasons. So we advise you to inform your stakeholders that the payout process is still continuing. And anybody who knows or is aware that there is a person who held an account in any of those 2 banks, you let them know that there is an institution called Deposit Protection Fund that can process your payment. But all the depositors who filed their claims within time, the claims were processed. Of course, we go through a process of verifying. It is not just to come up and you say, I had an account. You need to have your evidence. We verify you, and once your claim is routed through the necessary processes, then you're paid. Sometimes you don't even, I think, have to come to the DPF. There are various avenues. You can pay through mobile money. You can pay through your alternative bank. When you're opening bank accounts now, you realize that you ask to indicate your telephone contact, and you ask to name an alternative bank. All that is being done to provide avenues in the event or in the unlikely event. Lastly, lay a bit more on updating your information with your contributing institution. Individuals, national IDs, alternative bank, mobile number registered in the name of the account holder. Not bring an account and you give us a telephone contact that is showing Roy Nambogo, but then when you bring the ID, it is showing, Ruth Nambogo. So those are 2 different people. So those are the reason why we tell you right now, such that you know the information must be consistent, such that there are no delays in processing the claims. So you need to make sure that your information with your bank is up to date. If you're a foreigner, you must have a valid passport, or you must have a refugee card. Those who hold accounts, joint accounts, we need the national IDs of both account holders. If you hold a company account, every company is registered by the Uganda Registration Services Bureau, and they usually have a number, a unique number. So that number is the number that the DPF uses to authenticate the registration details of the company. So usually what we request for, I think, is to ensure that you submit a copy of your certificate of registration or incorporation, and DPF will verify because we have channels of linkages with URSB to confirm that the company is properly registered, and then we will process your payment. If it is a minor, then we'll use the identification for the signatories of the account. Contact information: if you're here and you want to get in touch with DPF, our spokesperson is Mr. Patrick Ezaga, who is standing here. Those are his details. We have a website where we publish most of the information that we need the public to know. That is also one of the other avenues we have of seeing that we are disseminating information to the public. There is an official email. You send an email on on that address. There is somebody who will respond to you and guide you. We also have other channels, like, the world has gone digital. We have X, LinkedIn, YouTube. We all share information through those platforms. Mr. Patrick's number is there. Currently, we are headquartered in Kampala at AHA Towers on the 3rd floor, or on Nakasero. That is where the fund is currently stationed. So if you feel that through any of those avenues you have not been supported with your query, then you can feel free to walk into the offices, the head office of DPF, and you'll be assisted. I want to thank you for your attention during the presentation. Asante sana.
Can we have a bigger round of applause? Thank you very much, Director Roy. My role here is to facilitate the questions and answers, the Q&A, the feedback session. And I want to say here that many of you are asking. Yesterday we were on a radio talk show, and people were saying, many have come to due pass. They tell us we are coming to support you. We hope DPF is also not coming to due pass and tell us so, I want to assure you that we're a government agency, and we are a legal entity as presented here. I want you to flash the last slide, which has the contacts. Many of you may be interested in this presentation. The last, with the emails, you can send us an email. Director Patrick's email is there. We also have our official mail for DPF. Kindly, the one after, yes, the second last before this, which has the contact information. Kindly flash that and then take our email, send an email to us, and then we'll be able to forward the presentation. As our IT, yes, you're going to share that shortly. It will be on the screen, and you'll be able to send us an email, and we'll forward that same presentation. The idea is that go and, you're representatives of so many people where you're coming from. So go and share and preach the gospel of DPF to the people that are in your spheres of influence. So we're going to the question and answer session. I want to ask the people with the microphones. We will do it this way. You put up your hand, a quick introduction, who you are, who is asking the question, so that we capture that and ask your question. I want to guide, yes, I want to guide that if the question has been asked by somebody, let us not repeat, as we are here only up to lunchtime. So if someone else has asked already the question, kindly, you can hold your own. So we're going to move around with the microphone.
Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Cherop. I work for Kakuchora Civil Society Organizations Alliance, KASOA. And my first question is that, for example, if I have about 50 million in an account, and DPF is only going to give me 10 million in case of an eventuality, what happens to the other money that I had in the same account? And do I get the same from different institutions? Secondly, you talked about, when it comes to funding for DPF, you talked about investments. What happens what do you invest in as DPF? And what happens in a scenario that your investments also are faced with eventualities and the bank closes? Then the last one is, you talked about the language that you use. I think this is very common with Bank of Uganda. We saw with the communication when Finance Trust Bank was transitioning, I think from Tier 1 or Tier 2 to Tier 1. And it becomes very hard for the clients to understand. There is panic mongering, because when you communicate like that, the clients will not even understand what is happening. Thank you.
Protocol observed. We want to thank you sincerely for giving us this information. My name is Toskin Sylvester Bomet. I work for Kwen District Local Government as a District Commercial Officer. My other questions have been asked by my colleagues, but I want to ask two. The nature and number of people invited to this place are few. And there is that common person down, as said by the person who presented. We want to request for a radio talk show so that that common person at the ground can get this information as well. Because we may not do much to give out this information to those bankers down there or depositors. Secondly, I wish you would have given us a short story so that we may learn from what happened with the Green Bank, Uganda Cooperative Bank, and then the Credit Bank. What happened? Just give us a short story so that we can learn as we go forward. Thank you very much.
The aspect of Finance Trust Bank, the whole aspect of the communication, I hear the concerns about the fact that there could have been, I don't want to call it panic, but there could have been some degree of concern, simply because many people, especially the common people that we target, they know that you walk to a bank to deposit your money, isn't it? So the other categorization of banks into tiers and the rest is a fairly very high level information. The message I pick from this is that the feedback to my colleagues in the communications department at the central bank will simply require that there should be some additional messaging to try and make the depositors appreciate that in the banking sphere there are different categorizations, and therefore whenever such changes are done, there has to be sufficient push and drive of the information. That's the only way we can mitigate. And since it is still a recent development, I think I'll take it up with my colleague, Director Kenneth in the central bank, so that there's some more information shared and people still get to appreciate. It is possible, and as we speak, there are those who don't know about the change yet. So I think that's an aspect that will require the information to be further spread, and we continue with the public awareness efforts. The soft copy issue I've already mentioned, list of financial, CSR. Yes, the board of directors takes CSR interventions to be a very important aspect of the fund. That is how the DPF also contributes, especially to the vulnerable communities. And our CSR is undertaken, guided by three major things. One, we have thematic areas. Education is one of them, water and sanitation is another, we have health, and so on and so forth. So there are 5 thematic areas, and each year we pick one thematic area. So I take this request as one that will be noted. I think off the line, I'll engage with you to understand some of the areas that you probably want to be supported in, because that helps us with gathering the information. Then we can make a case to our board to say there was a specific request in this sub-region, and we see how to try and divert the resources in that direction. So it will be helpful to understand what are the specific areas of need, because the principle is also that the fund would like to support in areas where there is need. Whereas we have the thematic areas. Those thematic areas are a guide, but wherever we go to intervene, it must be an intervention that has impact on the local people. Yes, Mr. Burhan, know about your bank. How does one know that the financial institution is regulated? Let's start from the common aspect. In every, call it a municipality, a town, if you're engaged in business, you know that you need what they call a trading license, isn't it? All businesses are supposed to have what is called a what? And that trading license must be well displayed somewhere, so that when the district officials and the authorities are moving around, it is easy for someone to see that you're operating using bona fide authorization. Now, in the case of the financial institutions, the central bank that regulates the sector also issues them with the licenses of operation. And they are required to ensure that these licenses are displayed in a location where it is easy for anyone to see. So if you want to know whether the financial institution is regulated or not, all you have to do is, as you walk in, ask them to show you where the certificate or the license of operation issued by the Bank of Uganda is displayed. And it is renewable periodically. So even when it is expired, it is all there. I think the banks, you know where to display this. It must be in the banking hall where most depositors access. Many people just don't know. But if you cannot see it, ask. These bank officials have customer service assistants and so on. They're there to help you. Inquire. You all heard many years ago, I think there was a story of some people who came under fictitious organizations and deprived a lot of our people of money. And this particular region suffered a lot from it. It was all over the media. And these are our people down there who may not be able to read and write. But where you cannot read and write, at least you'll be able to ask. And where you cannot, especially if you are in the disabled category, there should be a way of supporting. So ask, and don't fail to ask. How to know whether it is a protected institution or not. We have shared with you the list, but even the institutions themselves should be able to display the information. The number of people invited are very few. Yes, indeed. Let me put it this way. Our public awareness efforts are guided by what I would call a communication strategy. So we have stratified the country according to different levels, and we cannot reach everywhere at the same time. We're doing it in clusters. So this is one categorization of our target audience in terms of public awareness. But yes, indeed, we have other efforts we have put in place. All the information you are seeing in English now, we are gradually translating them into local languages so that they can spread out up to the last mile. We have radio talk show programs that are planned through the year, but of course you all know the resource basket is usually limited, so we can't be all over the country at the same time. We are doing it in clusters and it is regionalized. We will surely at the right moment come down into the sub-region, and you'll see a lot more of this information on the radios, especially the radios, which is the one which is the most important communication channel to our target audience. So we will reach there. This was really just a select cluster, because in the end, let me speak as a Christian, Jesus needed disciples. So he interspersed dealing with the public while also using the disciples. I am looking at a group of disciples. I don't know what the equivalent of disciples are in the faith of our brothers and sisters. But you need foot soldiers, so to speak. And you are a cluster of an audience whose believability index is very high. When the RDC talks to his staff or his people about keeping your money in a protected place, the power of that voice that comes with the office is so high. So we felt that this is an important cluster as the first cluster, but we shall, of course, spread it out to the others. Greenland, the other bigger depositors, mobile money, I think that's for CEO. I've tried my bet. On the aspect of if there's any addition, my dear directors, to whatever I've said, please feel free to add on.
Thank you very much, Patrick. I think before I start answering the questions that you have presented, I would also like to recognize the presence of all you distinguished ladies and gentlemen, especially the political leaders who are with us, the security forces with us, the religious leaders. I'm sure there are also some cultural leaders seated amongst us. our traders who are driving our economy through the transport sector and all the various sectors and various businesses that you handle. So my name is Julia. I lead the Deposit Protection Fund, and I'm here with my supervisors, my board of directors, so I have to be very careful and very precise when I'm answering the questions that you have given me. So the first question was a very valid one, that we invest, what do we invest in, and what is the protection we give if that bank we invest in collapses. So the assurance is that we invest in treasury bills and treasury bonds that are issued by our own government, the government of Uganda. So we are investing our money in a credible institution, which is the Bank of Uganda. So that should not be anyone's worry. There was a question of finance trust, and Patrick answered that. I also whispered to my boss, the bank secretary from Bank of Uganda, and she gave me some leads and indicated this is just a matter of the capital. When you say tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4, they are categorized in terms of size, in terms of sizes of balance sheets. So once your size changes, you will either go up or go down, but it doesn't affect your performance. And indeed, Finance Trust has indicated that their services continue as normal. The Bank of Uganda has also emphasized that it's a sound bank, so continue banking with confidence. Then the big question of why 10 million? Why don't we protect up to 100 million, 500 million, and so on? First of all, and I'm sure my director, Roy, must have indicated that at the 10 million, we are fully covering 98% of the depositors in this country, 98%. So it's only 2% who have above the 10 million. So we look at that as very adequate, because like my boss has said, deposit insurance is mostly to cover a majority of the small depositors. So if you're seated here and you're amongst the 2%, it means that you have to be conscious about where you put your money. The banks in the country are many. There are around 30, over 30, 31. Currently there are 31. They are all operating. But know how your bank is performing. It's the reason why the Bank of Uganda usually publishes or ensures that the institutions publish their financial statements for you, especially the ones in the 2%, to read and know how your bank is performing. And you can say, maybe I'm not a financial analyst, but maybe you have a child who did business administration. You have a neighbor who has done some business-related courses. They can quickly interpret for you those financial statements, and you gain confidence in your bank. The other reason why we zero in on the 10 million, apart from it being adequate, we also have to look at our ability to pay. So if we say we increase it to 100 million, a bank is closed and we don't have the money to pay, what confidence would we have instilled in the depositors? So we have to balance this, protecting a majority, also being able to pay when the time comes, and not do wolokoso like someone says. We say we can pay 100 million, when the time comes we don't have money. That would not be a very good message to pass across. The other one, we also have to be cognizant about regional balance. So within the East African region, we have Kenya, we have Tanzania, we have Rwanda. They also have deposit insurance limits, and our limit is close to theirs. If we decide to increase ours substantially, it's going to affect the depositors in their countries and the banking sector in their own countries. So always we are looking at ensuring that there is some regional balance, and I can assure you that at the 10 million, we are well balanced with the East African region. There was a question about, we say that we protect up to 10 million. What about if someone has less money, 6 million, for example? So we'll pay him all his money. That is one of the people who falls within the 98%. So anyone below 10 million, we pay them fully. There was a question about Greenland Bank, Crane Bank, what is the story? So the story, the details, would be known by the Bank of Uganda because they are the supervisors. For us, we are like the mortuary attendants. We wait when the doctor has said, this one has died, bury, we come in. So the story could best be given by the Bank of Uganda, but what I know, they had issues with their performance, and the Bank of Uganda usually gives time to institutions to rectify whatever challenges they are facing, and they went through that process, but at the end of the day, like the doctors also with the patient can give all the medicine, but one day the patient might die. So that is what happened, but the details could be with the Bank of Uganda. Then the other question is about the bigger depositors. What are we doing about the bigger depositors? Okay, our mandate makes us concentrate on the small depositors, so we have to do the best that we can do. When it comes to the bigger depositors, that one is now the mandate of the Bank of Uganda, and that is why they are supervising closely to ensure that the sector remains strong and resilient. It's the reason why you hardly see bank closures, because they have to protect the big depositors. But in the event that nothing can be done, they will have to close, and the DPF comes in. So the framework of tight supervision protects the big depositors, but also the big depositors need to know their banks. A big depositor has a responsibility to know where they're putting their money. And I usually give the example of schools. There are so many schools in the country, but a responsible parent looks at what type of school am I taking my child to? How does it perform? What is the discipline? And so you have the moral obligation to understand where you put your money and be keen about that. The other question was on mobile money and whether it's protected. I want to say, although the DPF does not protect mobile money directly, the country has a mechanism which protects mobile money completely. And how does this work? So every mobile money shilling that you have on your phones is kept as a deposit in a bank. The banks have been advised that that money that they get that is related to mobile money should not be given out in loans. It should be only kept in treasury bills and treasury bonds. The reason is, if MTN closed today, that money which is sitting in the bank is invested in a treasury bill which can be liquidated and it can be paid immediately. It's just a mechanism of giving you the money. So while the DPF does not protect, the country has a mechanism to protect. So continue using your mobile money accounts the way you have. And the example we give is, I think there was a mobile money company that closed. Was it AfriCell? Sometime, I think 3 years ago, it closed and no one complained that they were not paid. The Bank of Uganda had a mechanism of getting that money and paying those mobile money holders. So the government, the country, the Bank of Uganda is always thinking about the various users of financial services. Patrick, have I answered all? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I thought the CEO had answered the issue of what is the equivalent of DPF, but for mobile money, the point that she has just answered. These mobile money lenders, whom we refer to as electronic money issuers, are required to hold what we call trust accounts. and those trust accounts are kept. They are not supposed to be commingled with they are kept in a financial institution, and they are not supposed to be commingled with operational funds, meaning the money is seated there. And you must have heard, whenever you go to mobile money and you ask for money that I want to withdraw, somebody will tell you, I don't have a float. It's a very common one, meaning that the money they have to issue out must mirror the money that is kept the other side. So they'll tell you, I don't have a float, meaning that they do not have money to issue that is equivalent or that can be sufficiently covered by the money that is kept in the float. So, yes, we, like Julia said, we try as much as possible to protect omuntu wawansi as much as possible. And sometimes we refer to these accounts as escrow accounts. So you can use them as trust accounts or escrow accounts, but they mean the same. They are intended that should that money lender company go under, then you have recourse. She has given an example of AfriCell. Yes, as a central bank, we also take cognizant. For us, we regulate the commercial banks that keep this money. We have a relationship with UCC, Uganda Communications Commission, that do the mobile money. So there is an arrangement among the authorities that manage this money. So that money is also protected. But I was a little taken aback by somebody who was holding 78 million on a phone. Oh. Okay. That was pocket change indeed. Because the man said I use this money on a daily, so I keep on transacting. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. Mine is a simple question. What about money over
the 10 million?
Over the 10 million.
Yeah.
Now, according to the law, the Deposit Protection Fund covers up to 10 million. And so what happens is you are guaranteed, government has given you a guarantee that as long as an institution that is regulated by the Bank of Uganda is closed, you will get up to 10 million shillings. And then what happens is then you go into what we call liquidating the bank. The Bank of Uganda will then look at what relates to your banking financial status. If you had 50 million in the bank, but you also had a facility with that same bank, they'll knock off what you owed the bank and pay it back, and then they'll give you the balance. So the balance is covered with the Bank of Uganda as the liquidator of the bank. So they look into the bank, what assets does the bank have, what are they able to do, what is the balances there, and then you are paid from that. So when they'll go into that, they will sell the assets of the bank, they'll look into different areas of the bank, but you know that the rest of your money is covered. So whereas the Deposit Protection Fund gives you up to 10 million, the rest will go to your bank. So you will go through the Bank of Uganda to give you the balance. My CEO has mentioned something very critical about the schools you take, giving an analogy of the schools you take your children to. You take keen interest in the school that you go. You don't just go and find any school and take your child to that school. So the same thing with banking. Be critical. Go into and have an understanding of the bank, so that you are not in a place where you have to regret about certain things. But what we need to know is we have the reassurance, even the bank secretary is here, that the banks in Uganda are well regulated, but that notwithstanding, still take keen interest in the financial institution that you bank with. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You know, Angela is a lawyer, and lawyers, there's a language they use. Let me try and break this down. How many of you in this room have bank accounts? Don't feel shy. I'm not going to ask much is inside. Let's ask you, do you have a bank account? Let's say 90%, isn't it? The 10%, I don't know what we shall do with them. They have mobile money. They are managed in mobile. Okay. of you with the bank accounts, at the time you were opening that account, how many of you read the terms and conditions at the back of that sheet? Don't be shy. One is a banker himself. So 3 people walked into the bank at account opening and were able to read. Correct? His complaint is, and this is to you, the bankers, those conditions are very small letters. What would fit on the 3 pages, they squeeze it into 1. So for the rest of you, you go to the bank official and say, just show me where to what? Sign here. They put a cross. You sign here and here and here. They say the devil is in the detail. So if my elite, master's degrees, PhDs in this room, signed off without reading, what about your cousin and my cousin down there? Food for thought. Correct? The second aspect I wanted to break out simply from the message of my director legal is that the central bank, when the bank is closed, appoints a liquidator, if it is not the liquidator itself. The word liquidator simply means appointing an agency or an institution to manage the process of closing out an institution. You know, you don't close an institution by switch on and off, isn't it? There are processes. It has assets. Some of them have, whatever assets they have. Most importantly from her message also, and I don't think this came out clearly, the issue of loans, yeah? Yeah, she mentioned it that don't start thinking that if the bank has closed and you had a loan in that bank, so the loan has also died. The loan is very alive. It doesn't die. It has a life support system. So what happens is, assuming you had a loan balance of 4 million by the time the institution is closed, isn't it? You will not get the 10 million. How much will you get? 6. Very good. That 4 million, which you had not yet serviced, at the time of payout, DPF would now help the liquidator to withhold that money and pass it on. Because you also know one of the reasons that make banks close is if you and me don't repay the loans, isn't it? It can be a contributory factor. It may not be the direct one, but our obligation, if not met, and a good borrower, if you borrow, you must pay. So don't believe that the closure of a bank will mean the end of the what? End of the loan. The loan remains active, and that money has to be recovered as much as possible. Then anything that the liquidator assembles from the liquidation process, selling off the assets and the rest, is what is now used to pay anything above the 10 million, depending on how much has been raised by that process. And that's where now the regulator would usually come in and advise. I hope that is now clear. So you can see that 10 million and below or and above, there is at least a mechanism of ensuring that the depositor themselves, as much as possible, gets back almost all their money. Let me put it that way. Is it now clear? Round 2 of questions. Can we take another set? Then if we, depending on how many they are, we can do another cluster of 5 or so. We'll respond to those quickly. It is 1 o'clock. We now start working slowly towards the halt of this function. Okay? So 1 there, 2 here, 3. I have 3 so far. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Patrick. I'm called Martin Sirkut, and I work for civil society.
Martin?
Allow me at this, yes?
Okay, yes, go ahead, Martin.
Allow me first of all to recognize my colleagues. I saw the time you were recognizing the teams, the bank overall, the civil society. So my colleagues.
May I use this moment to officially also recognize the civil society? Please clap for them. Thank you very much. Thank you for that reminder, Martin.
Thank you, Patrick. And I want to thank the initiative. First of all, when I saw the deposit protection fund, I was trying to imagine whether this one could be one of the pillars of the protecting the gains in Uganda. But of course, we are one, and yeah. Now, what I wanted to say is that we have had different government institutions in this country that have been operating like they're doing things independently without interference from government. But the challenge has been that some institutions have failed to operate because of interferences from some big shots in government. For example, the Human Rights Commission was established to protect human rights, but at one point you find that the Commission fails to deliver on its mandate because of interferences from some government officials. So we just want an assurance that DPF is going to cooperate and do its work as required. Secondly, is that now that you have brought all these teams up, I know of course some of them are going to be your disciples, like you have said, to roll out the information down there. Public awareness is something that is very key, but sometimes it could be hard to get forums that can help us roll out this information. As a member of the civil society, we are trying to ask, could there be opportunity of us working together such that civil society comes in to help you in rolling out issues of public awareness? That is if we have some funds. Then the other one that came in later was the issue of translation of IEC materials that you mentioned. I just wanted to maybe advise that as you do that, please work with the right people, because sometimes the messages that have been coming out have not been very clear because of dealing with the wrong people. Thank you.
Once again, I'm called Chelokoi Joffrey. I'm the district chairperson, Queen. I want to appreciate the presentation, and of course, there were questions that I wanted to ask about the premier the cow has asked.
Okay.
I think the two questions, but mine, the last question is now on the issue of the treasury bills. You see, when we talk about treasury bills here, some of us don't understand that you invest in. And I wanted you to give us more light on this investment called the treasury bills.
What are they?
What are they?
Are they like electricity bills or what?
Are they like electricity bills?
Yes.
So that if it is worth it for other people to also invest in, they can do that. Then lastly, yes, in line with that also, you see we have been going to banks, and the biggest challenge at times, it is good the financial institutions are here. When you put your money to a tune of 20 million or 25 million, when it comes to time of withdrawing, they ask you very many questions. And we have now even opted to keep the money in mobile money and the other, or in the box in the house. By the way, most of the money is still in the boxes. Because when you go beyond, I had a friend yesterday who wanted to withdraw, he wanted to go and buy his vehicle. But he had banked 50 million and he wanted 30 million. They asked questions until he came back home, and he vowed never to. Yeah, so you tell us about treasury. You can put we invest. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mine is just an inquiry.
Yes.
Since we have somebody who signs on our notes, I happen to work in the border districts. This time in the border of Kenya. And when you cross to Kenya, you have to use Kenyan money. You convert the Ugandan money to the Kenyan. I have always failed to understand why the notes of Kenya are a bit hard and ours are very soft. I don't know when you sign them whether, I know you sign them electrically, but why can't we improve the quality of our notes? Thank you.
Afternoon, members. I'm Honorable Satya Francis, PWDU Kapcharwa. They called me for this engagement. Now they are talking about banks. For us, when we want to go for a loan, they don't want. I don't know why.
Oh, the banks?
The people, the persons with disabilities don't access loans. I don't know why. Secondly, I wanted to know, is this about this DFPU?
DPF.
DPF.
Yes.
Is it how is it benefiting the individuals?
Okay, let's answer this quickly. Possibility of working with society. Why not? If it turns out that the civil society is a very critical drive the message home, as long as we do not end up into these politicizations and so on and so forth, I am okay. Let's have a discussion and see how can we support each other to take the message home. That's one of the things that we can discuss, and if taken through our channels, we find that it is a way to reach the last mile in terms of our depositors. There's no problem, in my view, because we need every available channel to reach every depositor in the country. So that is not too much. Translations, let me also add that we are very careful about translations. And whenever we are translating our messages, we ensure two things. One, we make sure there is a professional, registered, recognized entity that does translations. The mistake people make is we get our colleagues in the media, radio DJs, run with a document to them, then they translate and they throw in their Gen Z language. Before you know it, the message is distorted. We had a situation where in the translation from English to a local language, the 10 million that we protect converted it to 100 million. Somebody just added a zero. And you know what that can do? Add a zero on the right-hand side. It doesn't matter where it is, the commas will shift. So 10 million in translation became what? And this was the financial institution's advert. So we are very, very cautious. And once we do that, where there are cultural institutions, and we believe cultural institutions are the embodiment and the ownership of a language, we also run our translations by them. So we get the message, we send it to Tiengadola or whichever it is, or the Kabaka's kingdom, whichever we find an established cultural institution, we run our information by them and say, just help us go through. Does the message come out? In fact, because the concept of deposit insurance, there is almost no direct translation in any language. We are now even developing vocabulary. You know, language is dynamic, isn't it? So there are certain terminologies in our sector that we have now realized we need to agree on a common interpretation across the different languages. Let me answer what concerns me quickly. These other ones are very tough. Let's go to the African translation is done. Premium. The question of premium, I see you. Did you pick? You can answer the question of premium. Okay, there's one more for me. Let me handle this. Government's airtime and the offer, thank you very much. This is a matter that we note. Like I said, any platform, any effort that makes us reach our citizens is very, very welcome. Lighting is direct feedback to my camera people. You know, their challenge is people like me who are a bit indigo. Without that light, I will not appear in the photo. That's why they put that so that I look like some structure. But in the end, we have to balance these things. I hear you loud and clear. Maybe for purposes of natural light, we would have opened the curtains instead rather than flashing, but the concern is not it. We'll do better next time. See you.
There was a question on why the banks ask so many questions when you're going to withdraw a lot of money. And Director Roy, who's representing our board chairman, will answer that. Then there are two questions for my director, Susan. One was about dirty money. What should the depositors do about dirty money? And then the other one was about why the Kenyan currency is hard and ours is soft. Once they've answered, I'll come in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, CEO. So, on the question on why do banks ask so many questions when you go to withdraw your money? There is a term I think that all of us in this room are conversant with, money laundering. And I think the questions are at the time when you're withdrawing. If you're very keen, if you go to deposit a lot of money on an account one time, because you see when you're dealing, the bank-customer relationship is a relationship that is monitored through the way you transact. You continuously transact on your account. So if you're a depositor who has been depositing, say every end of month you deposit, your salary comes through, maybe a salary of say 1 million shillings. It comes through every month, end of month, and the bank gets to know, because from the data, the bank can get to know the nature of the customer and the business they are engaged in. So you know you're consistently receiving a standard amount of money at the end of the month. Maybe once in a while you receive moderately a certain amount of money, you know, because as you're opening an account, like you said, the bank gets certain information about you, your personal information and then your business information. And then out of the blue, R1 billion shillings lands on your account. The bank, maybe through a wire transfer from, say, an account overseas or a company, so the bank will receive the money, yeah, but they'll flag it. You've had incidents where you go to the bank to pick money and they are asking the question that, where did you get this deposit? Or when the money comes in, they call you, sometimes they just call you, and they are asking general questions. Are you Mr. So-and-so? Do you hold an account here? Do you monitor the transactions? They are just asking because of that term called money laundering. It is now a statutory requirement that financial institutions which are regulated, they have to, as much as possible, track the transactions that go through the financial transaction of their clients. That is why you see on deposit slips, there is that aspect of purpose. What is the purpose? Whether you're when you're depositing, they ask for source of funds. When you're withdrawing, they ask for purpose. It is all in compliance with the law. There is an entity called the Financial Intelligence Authority. It also has guidelines that through Bank of Uganda, they are enjoined to see that they guard against money laundering. So it is really a tracking mechanism. So my brother, if your colleague of the 30 million was able to answer the question, then I'm sure they can be supported by the bank. But I get you, sometimes you're in a rush, like you said, he wants to buy a vehicle, maybe the seller is going to sell that vehicle, and they're asking you all these questions. But like I said, and I emphasized, know your bank, or the bank should also know you. And how does the bank know its customer? There are people called relationship managers. Relationship, that person you're sitting with when you're opening an account. I know there is a lot of turnaround because they move from bank to bank when they change jobs. But banks always have people who are customer care officers. I am sure if your colleague, when the teller did not support, moved to the customer care office, I am very sure he would have walked out with their money. Because when we deposit money to the bank, the money is held on, they call it a demand. It stands on demand that at any time the bank is making a promise. Every day when banks open, they are fulfilling that promise that you deposited your money today on Thursday, 1 million. And the moment you walk out with a deposit slip, it is an indictment on the bank that when I walk back in the bank, or within 30 minutes, I walk to the next branch and I say I want to withdraw 200,000 out of the 1 million I deposited 1 hour ago. The bank should be able to give me my money because it is your money. So the bank holds the money in trust for you. It's not that it is the bank's money. So it is held on demand. As and when you say I want my money, you must be able, the bank must be able to pay you. But it is because of that aspect of money laundering that is global, by the way. And we find that government has subscribed and ratified all these international agreements with the World Bank, with IFC, International Monetary Fund, and we have to comply. You recall a time when they said that Uganda was now on the red list? Black list, gray list, yeah? Then now we've moved from the gray list, we are now okay. So those are the aspects that have to be in place. And because we are being monitored, government has to, that compliance has to trickle down. That is why your bank will ask you questions if they suspect that there is something that is out of order in the way you normally transact in your normal relationship with this bank, we are seeing an unusual influx of transactions that are normally not there. So they call you to ask, and if you explain, they'll leave you. But and if the bank unreasonably separates you from your money, then that is why I said that you now go to the central bank to complain. So that is as far as I can explain it, is to guard against money laundering, the reason why they ask the questions. Be very keen when you're transacting. When you're depositing, they ask for source. If you've sold your property one time, maybe you got your property through a bequeathment, through an estate, and you decide to sell, and they ask you, where did you get the money to deposit? Because they see your account tells a different story, that you usually get a slightly lower amount than the deposit you've made this time. And then you provide proof that, no, we sold our family property and this was my share. And you bring to them a copy of the agreement. That will be it. The bank will just get it, get a copy, file away, and you'll be okay to transact. So that aspect of proof of source of funds, and then the one of purpose, that one also irritates me, but you indicate, that why are you withdrawing money? You indicate purpose, I am going to pay, I'm going to buy something, So it is the way that the bank is also trying to see that they are complying with these requirements to prevent money laundering and see that the system is clean from money money transaction funds which cannot be traced, drug money, what. That is as far as I can explain. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I've been given 3 questions and I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. The first one is the issue of dirty money. We must all appreciate that the most money that is affected, the notes that are affected by velocity. The velocity is the frequency of the money in circulation until it reaches its time to rest. Mostly it's the lower denominations, and that is 2,000 notes and 1,000 notes. So because of the change in the different people transacting in that those currencies, the money tends to wear away very fast, because the smallest denomination of currency that we use in our markets, the change, transport. In most cases, when you enter a taxi, I'll give an example, and you have a 50,000 note. There are sometimes when the taxi conductor will tell you, Nedda, we are not taking you, we don't have change. Or they'll first park somewhere and run to first get change. But if you notice, most of the bigger denominations do not have that problem. It is usually 2,000s and 1,000s, and it's because of the number of hands that are handling that. In most cases, when this money gets out of the central bank through commercial banks, it will eventually come back to Bank of Uganda for resting, or what we would call to destroy, or whatever you want to call it. So sometimes it's the number of times that currency make rounds. So can you have that money exchanged for good currency? Yes, we do. We have a branch here, for example, the Mbale branch. We have a timetable when people can go to, we have a Mbale branch, you know it, and in that Mbale branch, we have a counter. We call it banking. We have a counter. You can walk in, but it is allowed between the period, I think it is allowed from 9 up to midday, and that is on Wednesday. On Wednesdays, you walk in the bank and tell them, I have dirty money, I want to exchange it with clean money. And they will give you the equivalent of what you have. So it is usually between, on Wednesdays for all up-country offices, we have several branches. This area is served by the Mbale branch. you go there with your money and they will exchange it. It's not only for the dirty money, but if you have a note that is defaced, maybe it has what we call dog ears, one of the sides of the note is cut off, and some people sometimes write. Yes, sometimes people write their names there. Some of them write their number, even if it is a new note, a 50,000 new note, and you write your name there, or even put a mark there. When eventually that money comes back to the central bank, it is because you would have defaced the note. So we normally, when we give you the equivalent. But that money is genuine also, because we have machines that we run this money through to ensure that it is genuine money. So please, if you have your dirty money, please, the offices are open Monday to Friday. However, the date when we retrieve the money from the public at the center is on Wednesday from 9 to midday. Then in Kampala, it's on a daily. Monday to Friday, you walk in, you go to the banking hall, and you tell them you want to get clean money. You hand in that money, they will give you the equivalent. Monday to Friday. That is at the central bank. Then the question of the Kenyan money is stronger, the Ugandan money is weaker. Unfortunately, on that Ugandan money, there is my signature. So maybe it is my signature that is weaker. But let us appreciate that, first of all, Kenya is ahead of us when it comes to e-money, e-transactions. I think in Kenya they use a lot of M-Pesa everywhere, and the usage there is far, far, far beyond what we are using here. So you go into the market, you buy your tomatoes, you use mobile money. You go to the taxi, you pay using mobile money. And yet for us here, and I think we need to, he mentioned that he's going to talk to a colleague in the Bank of Uganda, as we enhance our public awareness, we also need to continue hammering and educating people to use more of the e-money, mobile money, than cash. But I know the reasons why it is very slow, but we are addressing those reasons as a central bank with the stakeholders. So the usage of cash in Nairobi is less than what we do. For us, somebody will send you money. Honestly, I want us to be clear here. I have sent money using mobile money, and somebody says, if you are sending me, take a konezi jayo. You get me? Somebody will not receive that 100,000 and go and purchase something else using that very money that is on his phone to purchase something. They'll first go to the money lender, to the mobile money person, withdraw that money and go to the next shop to buy groceries. Yet in the shop, they even show you Momo Pay number. So you get me? It all comes back to us that we need to enhance our public awareness. Somebody will say, when you are sending me money, make sure you add on the withdrawal charges. So I have learned it automatically. If I'm sending you 100,000, I have to add a 3K or 4K for you to withdraw so that you get the whole thing. Because I know somebody is going to go and pick that money and go to the next duka to buy. So Kenya, well, I may not be in position to speak why their currency is hard, ours is soft, but it all goes back to that you use and the specifications. They are different. We are different. They are different from us. But I can also proudly say that recently our 50,000 note was given accolades as the best note in the world. At least we have something to smile about. So, but we are concerned about that usage of the money, the velocity of the lower denominations. The bank is not seated. We are working how best can we improve. Because we still need that money, can we look at probably the materials that are used in printing this money? Is the material harder or softer? All those things need a lot of calculations by the technical people to see how, if we can elongate the life of the currencies that our people normally use. We have come from elections, and let us be clear here. There's some money that has gone through our hands, even us there. And most of it now is around that money. So you can see the movement of money in circulation. So for us as a central bank, we are trying so much to try and teach our people, educate them, involve us, so that we transit slowly to e-money. Most of you who have accounts here, you have Visa cards. And I'm sure you have gone to petrol stations and bought fuel using your Visa card. You have bought fuel using MomoPay. You have gone to supermarkets and you have paid using a Visa card. Yes, the numbers might be low, but we are moving and steadily progressing. There is a gentleman who asked about treasury bills and treasury bonds. I thought, Julia, you were going to answer this. Okay, I'll put it simply that these are government instruments. You actually lending money to government. So if you want to understand what a treasury, actually for a TB, I think, and a TB is 100,000 minimum. Yes, so you go to your commercial bank. Those big commercial banks, they will explain to you what a treasury bill and a treasury bond is. And they will open up what we call a CSD, Central Depository account with the central bank. But through your commercial bank, you don't walk into Bank of Uganda, no. Bank of Uganda is holding that money, transacting on behalf of the government. If you go to a Bank of Uganda Act, it will tell you one of the functions of the central bank is that they are banker to government. So your commercial bank, let me say probably Stanbic, they will take you through, you tell them that I want to trade in a TB or a bond. They will take you through the steps that you need to do. And they will open up that CSD account for you in the central bank for free. They are not going to charge you because for you as an individual, you can't trade personally, but you trade through your commercial bank, and the limit is now 100,000. You're actually lending money to government. And like Julia mentioned earlier, that is one of the safest investments that we can talk of now, and she mentioned that even that's where we invest as a DPF. So they will explain to you how they work. We have treasury bills of 91 days, 180 days, 365 days. So they will tell you what each one of them means and what then they can also take you through what a bond is. We have bonds. You must have seen the Bank of Uganda advertising bonds. They'll tell you a bond, a 2-year bond, a 5-year bond, a 10-year bond, a 15-year bond, a 20-year bond, and now we have a 25-year bond. And they have different interests. You are lending money to government, but government will pay you when that money materializes. However, you're earning interest. You must have seen you're earning an interest on these different bonds. However, for the bond, the interest, normally we call them coupons. They come every 6 months. Like you'll earn an interest on your investment, on the money you lend. Let's say, for example, you have 50 million shillings. You have bought a 15-year bond. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to wait for 15 years until that bond matures. No. You can invest after 2 years, you want to liquidate. Or even you want to liquidate all of it or half of it. Then that money will be liquidated on what we call the secondary market. Your bankers will find a buyer for your bond. However, every 6 months you'll be getting a coupon. A coupon is the interest that you earn from investing to government, minus taxes. And the taxes are also determined according to the duration of the bond. So actually, if you haven't invested, you haven't lent money to government, you just go to your bankers, they'll explain to you what needs to be done. I think, isn't that the 3 questions? What else? Yeah, I think that is it.
Thank you very much, Director Susan and Director Roy. The question was that at what point does the insurance become effective? We've been saying we give deposit insurance. At which point does it become effective? And then also there was the question of when a bank is closed, what does the depositor have to do? What should they give the fund in order to get their money. So for me, I have the question on how does deposit insurance help the individuals. So like we have indicated, 98% of individuals are fully covered by the Deposit Protection Fund. It means that if you, an individual, you had money, let's say 5 million in the bank, and the Bank of Uganda closes your bank, you do not have to wait for the liquidation process. The liquidation process is what my colleague Angela has indicated. The bank is reviewed and you start selling assets of the bank to get money to pay the depositor. You'll appreciate that takes some time, but the DPF comes in within days and pays you your money as long as we have your information and as long as you give us that information or also give your banks your information. And I think at that point I needed to emphasize that update your information with your bank, because that is the information we're going to use to pay you, so that you do not have to start panicking when your bank is closed. We shall just transfer money to your other bank account if you have, or to mobile money, or ask you to go to our agent bank to pick your money. Angela will explain the documentation that you will need to be able to access that. So the individual benefits, because we shall pay you very fast, up to the 10 million, and the rest, you wait a little bit. There was the question on loans. I think the banks will explain why you don't give loans to the PWDs and SACCOs and microfinance. We've talked a lot about DPF, and we've talked about how we protect depositors of commercial banks, the deposit-taking microfinance and the credit institutions. But where do the SACCOs and microfinance institutions fall? So initially, we had the Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority that regulated this. As some of you might be aware, this has been collapsed into the Ministry of Finance. So the team is still there, working in the Ministry of Finance. So they're still licensing and regulating, supervising these institutions. And the last time we spoke, because we usually have meetings, they're also looking at finding a way of creating a fund to protect the users of SACCOs and microfinance services. So that is something that is in the pipeline.
Well, what do we need to give when we need to get your money? Now, what the fund will do is immediately tell people the requirements. We list them in a document, and of course you will give your name, you give your particulars, national ID, or a document that it describes who you are. But the national ID is the document that we rely on most. And what do we do with your national ID? We are able to link you to your national ID. And so it's important to have your national ID and your identification and registration as a person, so that you link. We verify that information, so that if you have your unique number, the national ID, we are able to link you, and we cross-check that you are the person who you claim you are, linked to the national ID. And of course, we'll get the particulars relating to your account number. You tell us your account number, but even if you didn't do that, we'll be able to look and tell that this is the person who has an account in that particular bank. How do we do that? When it is going through liquidation, all your particulars, and you're supposed to, let me just use this opportunity to also give information that is critical to the fund. When you go to your bank, you are requested all the time, update your particulars, update your particulars. Now don't get irritated with the banks. That information is very critical for us, because when it comes to payout, we need to know, how do you want to be paid? That information that the banks ask you, what is the alternative bank account that
you want to be paid. That alternative bank account comes to us so that we know that if you are going to be paid, we will pay you through this bank account. Your phone number also, because you are going to look and we say it will depend and determine. We'll pay you to your bank account or we'll pay you to your designated phone number. Now you have people where we share phone numbers. Allow me to talk about that. I am Angela, and when I go to the bank, I register my sister Rachel's bank account, a phone number. So when you come to tallying, the numbers don't correlate. I'm looking to pay Angela, but the information that comes up, because your phone number is also linked from the service provider. So you look and you're looking for Angela, but you'll find Rachel. That will make payment to you very complicated. So you need to register what you use, where we are able to identify you and pay you back. Now, there are also areas that we need to look. Allow me to talk a bit about companies, that if you are trading as a company and you have registered, you still go through the same processes that the banks ask you for. That information that the banks request you for is very critical information. And it's not, I'll emphasize again, not to get irritated with the banks, because that information is critical for payment, both by us and also the Bank of Uganda, to pay the amount that is above the 10 million. So we'll ask you for that basic information that you need, and keep filling the documentation. And if you have not done it of late, go to the bank, give them an updated version of your information. You've changed your phone number, you have opened another bank account where you think your money should go, please give them that information. What point at which insurance takes off? As soon as the bank is closed for liquidation, then the process of deposit insurance or protection kicks in. So we use the words interchangeably, protection and insurance. And insurance, we call it insurance because that is government's promise to you, that you will be paid that amount of money, up to 10 million, if the institution is closed. So we use it interchangeably. It kicks off as soon as the liquidator goes through the document. If they are appointed liquidator, they'll go through the documentation that relates to your accounts and to the particular bank, and then they'll guide the process of which we start paying, because we need to know, do you have a loan or not? The liquidator will tell us, this person, like we have described before, you have 20 million and you have a loan of 10 million, you have to knock it off. What is the balance that the person has to be paid? And that balance then is what they will guide us to pay. But you will not go to the bank and say, oh, I've got a loan, I'll skip paying. So all that has to be done, and as soon as it is done, then we will be guided onto how much is the balance that you have for the fund to pay. Thank you very much.
The choice of profession I have, communications, requires that you read the audience. The body language I am seeing right now is that weather is changing both outside and inside. I therefore want to use the prerogative I have as the moderator to pick two only two burning ones. 1, 2. Maneno kisha. Where is the mic? Start with the lady there.
I think this information is very important. Thank you for sharing with us. And now, since the banks display their financial statements, they display their operating licenses, can't they also display, okay, I don't know what you give them when they pay the premium. They get a document.
Evidence that they have paid.
So that when we go to the bank,
you are sure.
We see the financial statements, we see the operating license, we also see this one. So that we are sure that we are protected. So that is my other question. Otherwise, thank you very much for this information.
It's a very innovative question, Madam Sebei. This one is above my pay grade. She goes the other side. There was a hand here.
Now that depositors were not being helped, and government came up with the
Deposit Protection Fund.
Deposit Protection Fund. Assuming these institutions where depositors are putting their money are clear-minded for over 100 years, what happens to this money they are contributing to you? And whose money is it now? Is it for government or is it for the institution? Thank you.
Very straight, before the banks come in, let me handle my issue. As I mentioned, our corporate social responsibility is a very structured process. We intend to reach every corner of this country as best as we can, guided by resources available and by the thematic areas. But we also go around collecting information of areas of need, so that if there is a basis, we can then make a case to the board. And I'm sure my board will not reject to give us the opportunity to come and serve the citizens in your region. So take my number, let's discuss offline to see how best we can coordinate. My email is there and the telephone is there. Yes, the banks.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Phyllis Jakoti is my name, and I'm the branch manager, standing capture. I just wanted to give comfort to the different depositors in here, especially when you talked about the money laundering activity. I know it's a little bit of a challenge when you're asking these questions. Please feel free. Do not move out of the banks without talking to a supervisor or someone in there, and you get frustrated and your programs for the day collapse. They are very simple questions, and like Shah said, a regulatory requirement that we have to report on, especially on anti-money laundering. Money laundering is basically a process, it's an illegal process where there are depositors who conceal the origin of the money. There are people who conduct criminal activities. For example, corruption is a money laundering activity. So banks are supposed to report your source of funds, which is not crime. You sold your cow, the source of money is sale of cow. Yes, then the other bit is different investment products. Yes, you talked about the treasury bills, which are short-term. They are basically 12 months. And then the treasury bonds, which are long-term, that go up to a period of 20 years. And I'll use your example. You talked about someone investing 50 million shillings and getting a coupon in 6 months. Imagine you put your 50 million and you're seated at home, and you're getting a 3.3 million after every 6 months. You've not worked for it, right? Which is a good thing. We have the fixed deposits accounts where you put your money. We have the unit trusts. So why not open an account in one of the institutions? And the beauty is all these products cut across all the banks. It's you to move in there, and negotiation power comes in, and best rates are given to you as a customer. Then the issue of not giving circles, PWDs, I will speak on behalf of Stanbic. Stanbic, we give out loans to the different institutions that are specified specifically. The disabled persons, you're in there, you're not discriminated, you get in this money as long as you meet the requirements that we need as an institution. And that is it basically from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, an additional comment?
Yeah. Our servers, our dear customers, are most welcome. My name is Daniel Patrick. I'm the team leader, Kapikora Finance Trust Bank. Team leader or other branch manager. What I wanted to add on what Phil said is the same right a non-disabled person has is the same right a disabled person has. It is a matter of understanding what you want, but all banks don't segregate. We no longer have that issue of chasing away our customers because of the conditions they are in. Unless you have an issue with your eyes, you cannot see where you are going to sign, the money you are going to sign. You have an issue, can't hear. We have all requirements that can settle that. But for that matter, we have the director here from Bank of Uganda. We treat all of you equally. In case of anything, reach out to the supervisors in the same bank, reach out to the branch manager. We shall all support you. And I thank you so much. I wanted to help that.
Thank you. Let's respond to the two issues. Avani, what am I going to do now? We were responding to two issues. Is it a quick one? In terms of your question, is it quick so that the CEO can pick it up? All right, just let me prerogative, the real last one. Let's not become brighter after his question. Please proceed.
First of all, I apologize so much. I could have missed some session because I'm trying to also attend other issues.
We appreciate it. That's why we are secure here.
Yes, sir. I have just a few, and maybe I'll direct to Madam, the Secretary. I am glad to have met you today, a very big person in our country. I have one first point like this. At what point does Bank of Uganda closes the financial institution? Do they close up the seat that the bank is not able to operate anymore, or that now it cannot pay our workers, or now it cannot pay people, or that it is extent that now it can no longer refund people their money, or the Bank of Uganda closes after seeing that now at this limit you can only refund the people and you cannot operate.
She will give you the answer. You are giving her options.
And why should you read that extent?
Okay.
Now you can no longer fund the people back their money, and it would have stopped them when they can still refund back people their money.
Okay.
And is there a possibility that after, when the liquidation process is done, that other people will still be able to miss their money, they will not recover all their money? And if that is possible, then I think the Bank of Uganda need to do more so that people don't lose their money in that circumstance. Then the DPF, after paying the beneficiaries, do they get refunds from the financial institution after the liquidation, or they don't get? If you get refund from the financial institution after liquidation, why don't you pay more than 10 million?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Right, let's answer those, and then we can wrap questions.
I am a lawyer by training, and I believe in what we say when you give a disclaimer. So I may not 100% answer the question, but let me try. The bank does not wake up in one morning and put padlocks on a commercial bank. We've been told we have a directorate, what we call the supervision directorate. That directorate has staff that conduct what we call on-site, off-site, all those supervisions to see the health of an institution. There are some indicators that normally come through when you see that this financial institution is no longer going to meet its obligations. And one of the things that we treasure is protecting the depositors. You people said put your money there in these banks, so we have to make sure that your money is protected. Now, we normally engage these commercial banks when we start seeing indicators that things are not working out. Even including sitting down with them, entering with them memorandum of understanding, please try to fix this, try to fix the other, asking them to, the shareholders, bring in money. So until a time, by the time the bank is closed, they also know that probably we can no longer salvage this. It is usually a protracted engagement with the central bank. So normally when we make an assessment that this bank has reached a level where they can no longer meet its obligations. But closing is phased. Okay, it can be in another way. I'll give a case of Crane Bank. That is the latest that we have on the commercial banks. So we put out an offer to those other banks that could afford to buy the bank as is. You recall that it was bought by DFCU. The assets were bought, okay. That is a detail. However, the depositors of Crane Bank did not lose a shilling. The obligation passed on to DFC. You recall they said all that we need is come and update your records with us. So we don't wake up on one morning and say we are going to close. Really, it takes a bit of time, it takes a lot of engagement, it takes a lot of protracted this here and there. By the time we say no, definitely our interest as a central bank, we want a robust financial sector. It also pains us when we wake up in the morning, early morning, and you find padlocks on an institution that you have been regulating and supervising. So one would say, do you suddenly decide that very morning? No, of course not. Even the owners of the commercial banks, the shareholders, the managers, they name it, the leadership, all know that we have given them an opportunity to fix some of those issues that are indicators of a failing bank. Have I explained myself? So by the time we get there, honestly, we want to salvage the little that there is, and then we hand over to DPF. When the bank is closed, there are people who are supposed to benefit. There are categories. I think I'll ask Julia. By the way, this Julia was a supervisor, so she was hands-on. She understands. She's one of those ones they mentioned that was handed over by Bank of Uganda to go and kickstart that DPF. And I'm happy to mention that she has done a great job, and that's where she is. But she was a supervisor. She understands the gymnastics of a closed bank. So there are people who are entitled to pay. So you'll just allow me, there are categories of people who are entitled to pay. Will you, at the end of the day, get? Yes, at one time T, when so many other payments that are lined up are done, then you'll be paid. But I'll request Julia to help me on that.
Okay, thank you, Director Susan. I think Director Susan has already answered that when the bank goes into liquidation, the liquidator, who is usually Bank of Uganda, will sell assets and receive, and that money is paid out depending on the hierarchy that we have in the law. And one of the people that gets refunded is the DPF. Then there are other categories, creditors who are secured, for example, and then the unsecured depositors. So yes, when liquidation happens, you can't be sure that you'll receive all the money. There might be some money which might not be received, but that would be at the tail end. You would have recovered most of your money, depending on how much you had. But again, it goes back to why we are saying, know your bank, so that you don't enter into that situation of having to waiting for the assets to be sold, uncertain how much money you will get. So take the right decisions now. Yeah. The other question was about the institutions that pay premium, whether there is a certificate that is given. So Angela, our legal counsel, will say that the law is very clear. Once an institution has been licensed by the Bank of Uganda, they automatically become a member of the DPF and they start paying premiums. In the years that I've been in Bank of Uganda, which is almost 20 years, and the years that I've been in the fund, which is almost 10 years, there is no bank that has failed to pay premiums. They take it as priority. So all the banks that are contributing are all compliant, and if anything happened to them, we would step in to refund the depositors. So continue banking with confidence.
And then what happens to the money if, let us say that the Bank of Uganda is supervising very well, and they do supervise very well, and there is no bank that collapses. Generally, that is something very ideal because all banking sectors across the globe go through those periods of there is no bank closure, then there can be one bank or two, then there is no bank closure. So to rule out bank closures would be wishful thinking. Then they will happen only at certain points in time because they are managed by human beings, and human beings are susceptible to lots of temptations and taking lots of risks that they might not be able to manage. That's why the DPF has to be there all the time because it can happen at any point in time. If we decided that for the past 10 years there has been no bank closure, let's now give back this money to the bank, and then a bank is closed, we'll not be able to pay the depositors, and we're going to affect financial sector stability. So we always have to keep that buffer because anything happens in the real world. Then there was the question earlier, I realized maybe we didn't address it, about understanding what is the premiums. So the premiums, when we say that customers don't pay premiums, it means that when you look at your bank account statement, you should not see a debit saying a deduction to pay premiums to DPF. You should never see that. If you see that, please, Patrick is here, raise the alarm. That is illegal. The premiums are paid by the commercial banks, not by the depositors by taking money from your accounts. I just wanted to make that clear, and thank you very much.
All good things must eventually come to an end. And I would now like to take you through the last part of this gathering, how we shall proceed. Myself and Consulate are going to give you a few announcements for wrapping up purposes. Director Kalema will give the official closing remarks. Sheikh Abdallah will give us the closing prayer. We will be outstanding to sing the anthems thereafter. And the announcements that she's going to give you will guide where you should cluster. If anything, just to put your minds at rest, the rains are on fine. Yes, it's good for us, it's good for the country. But thankfully, the rain does not interfere between your current location and the location of food. You will not get any wet at all. Speaking of foods, the DPF, working with the management of the hotel, we have made arrangements to pack the food for those who are fasting. So you'll be able to carry the little that we would like to share with you to go with for those who are fasting. Specific direct request to, where is Mr. Betaka Kefa, you're still here? Mr. Betaka Kefa, the chairperson of the Boda Boda, is still here? Yes, thank you very much. And my RDC, Bukwo, there has been a request by the media that by random sampling, they would like to have very quick feedback interviews with you, the members of the media. Thank you very much to accept that role. They will tell you where, they know where they will take you. So my chairperson and RDC, the media guys, you'll see that they usually put on jackets which have many pockets. Don't know what they put in those pockets. The meal, what's the last announcement from myself? Where is it here? Okay, one simple activity that will happen once he has done is our first person in the room, Ms. Chelagat Sylvia, please be on standby to receive a simple token from our Director Kalema before he makes his remarks in appreciation of your timekeeping. And one of the
Alice is over there. Can we see her? Categories, the banks, Boda Boda, and Captura Central Market. Alice will be right here where we are seated. She'll be seated here after we are done with this engagement, and she'll be able to serve all the banks, all the Boda Bodas, and the Captura Central Market vendors who are here with us. We have the media the religious leaders, education institutions, taxi operators, civil society organizations that have come. The space that is right over there. Rachel is down there. Rachel will be the one serving the media, religious leaders, education institutions, taxi operators, and civil society. She'll be seated on my left, and those categories of people will be served by her. And lastly, we have the following that will be served by Betty. Let us see Betty. Betty is right at the front. As you're going out, you will see her. These are the district officials from Kapchorwa, from Kwen, from Buko, and we have the RDCs and the police. All the police officers led by the RPC, the DPCs, and all the district officials and the RDCs will be served by Betty by the door at the back. As you're moving out, you will get your facilitation from there. I want to guide that since lunch is served, if you see the line is too long for your particular category, you can go down, have lunch, and come back. But I know for us, money is always fast. But because of to guide to manage the queue, if you see that it's still too long, first go have lunch and then come back to get your facilitation. Otherwise, we want to appreciate you, and we continue to preach this gospel of deposit insurance to your families first, and then to the people you work with, and wherever you are, kindly continue to share what you've learned here today to where you're coming from. Without wasting any further time, allow me, members, can we have order? I know it's time for lunch and we want to, can we have order in the house? Allow me now to invite Director Kalema to officially close or adjourn this engagement. We don't close because we are going to have more of these engagements in other parts of this country. I want to now ask us to welcome him with a hand clap as he comes to adjourn this engagement. Can we stand up? Because I know we are tired. Let's do that in order. Can we clap as we are standing up as we welcome Director Kalema to adjourn this engagement? As he walks over here, I also want to invite the lady who was the very first person, the timekeeper, to come over here. We're going to just hand over a gift hamper to her to appreciate the virtue of time management, and our director will officially conduct this. Welcome.
Thank you, Consulate. Good afternoon, everybody. No, it's late and we need to replace something so that we can have better life. I'm honored to hand over this appreciation for your contribution, your participation, and your engagement to DPF. Because of time constraints, I will be as brief as I shall do. Members, beginning with the directors from Deposit Protection Fund, all invited guests and participants who have come to engage in this discussion of knowledge, to acquire knowledge about Deposit Protection Fund. We are very happy that we have come from different institutions, different directions, to gather here so that we can intermediate and exchange information and knowledge. Because for us, we say knowledge is power, and power is desirable. So if you want power, seek knowledge. And we say, those of us who appreciate knowledge will be accompanied to higher level. Because once you are knowledgeable, you can acquire what you want to aim or you are aiming at, or what others have achieved. So you need to know the how and the whys and the when. So that's why even the area of finance or area of banking, we really intermediate a lot of knowledge from different sectors. DPF, which is a Deposit Protection Fund, our aim is to make sure that there is financial sector stability, that we, in the Deposit Protection Fund, we reach out to people to appreciate the role of banking across, at macro level, like the central bank, or even a higher level, like the World Bank, but come nearer home. There are commercial banks, development banks, and now ours, Deposit Protection Fund. We have brainstormed on how it is working or how it is assisting us to improve on our welfare. We definitely come a long way. You see the directors there? This is almost the 10th year. We were appointed by the Minister of Finance, and I was put on the docket of representing the public. So I think we have done a good job as a team, and because we work as a team, we have achieved some milestone in improving the financial sector and especially the banking sector. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come all the way to meet you and to interact with you. And we've been doing all these engagements or knowledge sharing exercises and the interaction in the north, in the west, in the east and the center, so that we get to know and the people get to know or to appreciate the role of Deposit Protection Fund. As the old saying says, that if you want to get better, start now. But remain focused. Have your aims, have your purpose, and work towards achieving the goal. From the time we were handed the mantle of managing Deposit Protection Fund, I'm sure you all believe me, we have really walked a long way in terms of achievement, in terms of performance, and now Deposit Protection Fund is a fund to reckon with within the country, within the region, and I think globally. So thank you all very much for attending this, and may God bless you all. We can say finally, bon appetit.
I learned from him, he was in communications department earlier, so thank you, Director, for the formal closure. For emphasis purposes, we are going to have a group photo. The camera people said just ahead of the swimming pool downstairs. So this is how we'll do it. We'll receive a closing prayer, we'll sing the anthems, then we'll go and do the group photo. While we're doing the group photo, others can go serve lunch while others can come and get served. Please and please, there's no need to get worried. Everybody who received an invitation and is here will receive what is due to them as in the letter. Usually matters of money and food create unnecessary commotion. But I trust that this audience, within yourselves, you know where the hierarchy is, and we'll respect ourselves accordingly. Amen? Very good. Let's rise up for the closing prayer and then the anthems. Haji?
May we humble ourselves for a closing prayer. In the name of the Almighty Allah, most merciful, most gracious, most merciful. Almighty God, we thank you for bringing us here and sharing the knowledge. We have always yearned for knowledge. Thank you for giving us knowledge this day, especially about the Deposit Protection Fund, which we did not have. Thank you for the wonderful group of directors. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. And thank you for the wonderful moderator who has made it very lively. We thank you. Glory comes back to you. God, we pray that even as we go back home, may you give us the courage to share the knowledge we have got today with our people who are not here. May you give us another chance to continue engaging with the directors and the team from the Deposit Protection Fund. Almighty Allah, as we go back home, we pray for general mercies. Take us back home safely, and may we find our families safe and under your protection. In your name, we say this prayer.
Thank you very much.